Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in during this lunchtime lunch and learn with Review Trackers. Yes, we are going to talk about, is a 4.5-star rating better than 5-star rating? We're going to get our myth bust on, but we're also going to talk about the big picture in using reputation marketing to build an authentic brand online. So without further ado, my name is Megan Zink. I am the Senior Director of Demand Gen Marketing here at Review Trackers. I have been in marketing for almost 10 years. I started out in an agency. I started out in social media marketing before that was like truly a marketing platform. So I've seen a lot, and a lot has changed for sure. But one thing I always like to think is that the golden rule has never changed. You need to treat your audience like you'd like to be treated. And right now, we're going to be talking about how to do that with authenticity and transparency. I oversee all things demand gen at inbound marketing at Review Trackers. Review Trackers is a natural language processing technology, aka NLP, that helps you find customer insights and business operation data so that you can increase your customer acquisition and retention. You can check out more at our website. I will share that later. But I also wanted to just take a second to thank everybody for tuning in. I also want to give a shout out to my amazing Demand Gen team. Thank you to Jessica for moderating. We will be opening up at the end for questions, so please feel free to pop your question in the chat. Jessica will let me know at the end. And hopefully we get some hot takes, because that is what we are here for. All right, so like I said, why are we here? Well, we've got a problem. Today, only 48% of Americans actually trust businesses as institutions, which, according to an Edelman survey, is a record-breaking drop. Now, we as Americans and brands are ranking lowest out of all 28 global markets surveyed, which is kind of a bummer. It is not like Mad Men days anymore. You can't just throw a sexy tagline up and have everybody, clamoring to buy your toothpaste or what have you. But really, it's all about the shift of authority for the consumer. And we've seen this, more and more and more. And really, we have the information age to thank. But it's all because of the amount of information that we have at our disposal. And so consumers have way more resources available to them than they ever have before. We've like lunar landing past the information age, and we're now in information overload age. And so what's really important to think about now that things are shifting is, how do we make it easier for people to find information? How do we make it easier for people to curate what they need and sort of sift through all of that noise? And everything, and how do we get them to really trust us as brands? Actually, data says that B2B buyers are typically 57% of the way into a buying decision before even talking to a sales rep. And so everything that you put out there is really important in that journey, right? So it's about your content. It's about, are you searchable? Are you showing up in search ranking in Google search or Bing? What are people saying about you on social? All of those things. So that all has to do with your online reputation. And that is really why we are here. So what's the big takeaway? The big takeaway is just stop shooting for perfection. It sounds weird. And, in today's day, everything has to be super manicured. Everything has to be very, sunshine and rainbows. But we're here to tell you that really it's not about that anymore. And, we've sent authenticity and transparency are buzzwords at this point. But really, the ethos of doing business is connecting with humans, because humans need products and solutions. And so really getting to them on a human level is very important. And so we will talk about how to do that with your online reputation. So what makes up your online reputation? Well, there are tons of elements, including online business listings. Yes, those are really, really important to, have people being able to find the correct information, like over here in Google. Your social media presence and the things that people are saying about you in those online conversations, social listening. Like I said, that online visibility and search rank in search engines. And then especially reviews and star ratings. And that is what we're going to dive into in more detail today. Okay, so promise some myth busting. And of course, we saw the title of our Lunch and Learn today. So let's get started. Myth 1, you have to have a perfect 5-star rating. Well, it's called myth busting. So sure. And you saw the title of this presentation. So no, it is not important to have a 5-star rating. In fact, 5-star ratings seem overly perfect and they seem too good to be true. And actually a report from us, and we've done a lot of research on this topic, but 70% of people are actually using rating filters when they're searching, and the most common search is 4 or above. So it really is not about that the perfection of 5 stars. And really, it's like you need a healthy mix of negative and positive to really give you that authenticity and credibility. So no, we busted that myth. That was the whole title of this presentation. Is 4.5 stars better than 5? No. And we also have, I am happy to share this presentation after. So if you'd like a copy, please direct message me on LinkedIn. Jessica is going to share my link. I believe she already did. So I'm happy to share that with you. But we actually have a whole post written about how 4.5 stars is actually better than 5. And negative reviews are a very important piece of that. So more, if you get those slides, you can actually learn all about the content that we have to help you. All right, myth 2. Negative reviews are bad, and so you shouldn't even give people the opportunity to leave one. I get it. It can be really hard to put yourself out there as a brand, open the door, open a can of worms, because who knows what people are going to say. But no, you really should. You should give people the opportunity. So that's why asking for reviews is extremely important. And so, you ask for reviews and you're worried, oh, well, people only complain when they've had a bad experience and they don't typically talk about good things. Well, first of all, if you ask for reviews, actually, statistically, people are more likely to give you positive reviews. And also on the negative side, it's just a healthy mix. It's a healthy part of your online mix. And so the study from Northwestern, consumers appreciate negative reviews as an important element in their decision-making process. And so, the other thing is, you want those positive reviews. But actually, when you think about it, if somebody's left a negative review and you as a brand and a company take the time to address their concern and then go back and show them that you care and you actually address it, that does you way more than just resting on somebody's positive review, because it took a lot of effort and you're in a public forum and you actually are proving out to a ton of other people who are looking at reviews that you care and you're willing to go that extra mile. So it's actually an even better opportunity for you to be able to respond to negative reviews. And 45% of consumers say that they're actually more likely to visit a business who responds to negative reviews. So just think about that the next time you're like, oh, should we really put it out there? Should we really open that can of worms? Because you should, and it's important. All right, the last myth before we get into the how-tos. You should delete negative reviews and or gate them, aka routing the reviewer to leave to a different place to leave their feedback, if it was negative, somewhere else rather than actually posting that review. This is a hot topic. This is probably the most sizzling take out of all of these, because we constantly are seeing a lot of people asking about review gating. And if you've picked up anything from the other myths, you know that negative side of things is actually a really, really healthy and important balance in that equation of your online reputation. And so I'm sure you could guess this, but no, it is very important to not review gate. We actually take a very, very strong stance here at Review Trackers of not review gating. And the reason why is not only is it not good in practice, but only choosing to display positive reviews on your site is actually illegal. And earlier this year in January, a company called Fashion Nova was slapped with a $4.2 million fine. So because they did not post anything but positive reviews on their site. So the FTC is really cracking down. Google's cracking down. All the platforms are really cracking down. It can't be expressed enough that review gating is just not a good practice. It doesn't create that transparency. It doesn't create that authenticity. It doesn't allow people to feel like they're being heard. Like, yeah, they get rerouted to a different experience, but it's not really a truthful experience. And like I said, allowing customers to give an honest account of their experience really helps to cultivate that trust. And then the loyalty, which, in the customer flywheel, you want those customers coming back in an infinity loop. So it can't be understated enough. Please don't review gate. We don't believe in it here. It is not something that you want to be doing, and you could potentially get really hefty fines for it. Okay, so in this, we also promised ways for you to take advantage of reputation marketing with some things that you already have. And what does a lot of that have to do with? Psychology. That is like one of my favorite pieces of marketing to talk about. That is why I got into marketing. I love psychology. I also am very passionate about empathetical marketing and really educating and inspiring people. So it's all about, putting really good and solid information out there so people learn and they trust you and they get this sense of trust and they want to build a relationship with your brand. And that's what we do on the demand gen side. But what are reviews really and testimonials? They're social proof. So humans at our core are pack animals. We are constantly like, ooh, what's everybody else doing? I don't want to do the thing that somebody's not doing. I want to, when you're faced with a decision, it's like, well, what other experiences have other people had? And so, again, going back to that information age idea, we have way too many options. I mean, I went to the grocery store yesterday. Well, I could have gone to Target, which would have been even worse, but I went to the grocery store for toothpaste, and there are, I don't know, probably like 150 different brands. And I was like, I don't even know what to choose. I was completely overwhelmed. They call it analysis paralysis. And it was just like, I was like, oh, somebody just tell me what to do. And that's really what reviews are at their core. They're really this like very psychological idea of, well, what does everybody else say is a good thing? What bad experiences have people had? Again, going back to that full mix of the positive and the negative. But consumers are 92% more likely to trust non-paid recommendations. And they trust reviews as much as personal recommendations. So that really brings the clout of those reviews up. And there's even this fun fact that says testimonials can actually increase conversions on a sales page by 34%. So really, social proof is the pudding. Proof is in the pudding. I like puns. But yeah, so getting testimonials and reviews, if you are not focusing on that already, you really should be, because psychologically, it just makes sense. It's a part of the customer buying cycle. They need that added proof. They need to have that directional force telling them how to make a decision. They want to know what other people are doing. So what are ways to do that? One of them is on your website. Peppering reviews, again, we talked about putting them on that sales page to increase conversions. We like to put them in our margins next to our call to actions to add that little like, hey, Kirk had a really great experience working with us with Rural King. In case studies, we have them living there. We also put them in widgets. We have something called Amplify, which actually carousels reviews on your site, and it sends really great SEO signals to Google. So there's kind of a multitude of added benefits to something like that. And as you can see here, there's a more info link. So like I said, I'm happy to share this deck with everybody so that you can access some of this content. The second item, and there's actually an important disclaimer at the bottom that I want to go over first before I talk about number 2 that applies to all of these, is if you're going to be using reviews or testimonials in your marketing materials, you really need to ask permission. That obviously creates trust that, your customer base is very important to you. Or you could anonymize it, but I think there's a lot to be said for the personal human credibility of the reviews themselves. So we always just like to ask permission. And then the other thing is that there are actually some industries out there that need to follow really specific protocol, like for example, finance and healthcare, especially with the HIPAA protocol. So just make sure that you know what is allowed in your industry and that you're following all the guidelines. So just wanted to call that out there. But the second one, in social media, I mean, you can, first of all, you can source the testimonials and the positive feedback or negative feedback that you've addressed or whatever from social, but then you can actually also share it. And you can leave it out in the open. When actually speaking from firsthand experience, when I first started in marketing, it was my first marketing job out of school. I was working in a social media agency, and we were working with a big brand from Yum Brands under Pizza Hut. And they were getting some pretty gnarly reviews. And I was like, oh, I need to delete them because this looks so bad. But I kind of wish I was able to go back and tell my, past self what my future self knows and how important it is to just create some kind of consistent way to respond. And so again, don't be afraid to share both positive and negative reviews. The positive ones, like on the left-hand side, those are honey, right? Those are sweet. Like you can put them at the forefront. Those are obviously everybody's had a positive experience, but there's a lot to be said for the second example here with Southwest, where, poor Scott was having a terrible time with the Wi-Fi on the plane. Instead of maybe deleting it, which I guess, my past self would have been pretty inclined to do, be like, oh, don't worry, we'll fix that. But like, we don't want this out there. They just embraced it and they responded. And then actually Scott responded, and yeah, he was like, oh, thank you. That's really great to hear. But I think he was more tickled that Southwest Airlines actually took the time to address his concern and reply, as you can see here. And that probably won them a ton of brownie points with Scott. Number 3, use it all in other different types of marketing. So, if you've got brochures or you've got presentations, we at Review Trackers do a lot of case studies. And we've actually created this really cool program where we have this click to tweet module. And so we actually use the reviews and testimonials there. And then we actually share the case studies with our customers who are super excited to be spotlighted, and they're likely to share with that easy click to tweet. But again, reminder, don't forget to ask permission or anonymize. All right. That was it. Thank you all so much. I am really excited to be here to talk to you about this today. A reminder, put those questions in the chat, in the comments, and Jessica can bring them and we can have a discussion. Otherwise, while you're doing that, I just wanted to give a big shout out to our amazing Review Trackers Demand Gen team. Rexley, Megs, Cami, Jessica, everybody. There was a lot of hands involved in this. The amazing content that you see in this deck is available because, again, we love to educate and inspire. So you can actually find that. Thank you so much, Jessica, for your moderation. And also Cami, Jessica, the whole team, again, for the promotion of this. To learn more about Review Trackers, you can go over to reviewtrackers.com. And like I said, I'd love to connect with you on LinkedIn. I'm obsessed with marketing. Sometimes I'm like, I love that my name starts with an M because I'm like, Marketing Megan, yay. But really excited to meet you. And like I said, I'm happy to share this deck with you if you direct message me on LinkedIn. So please do connect. Awesome. Let's see if we've got any questions. I am waiting to see them come in. Jessica, otherwise, I hope you really enjoyed this. Obviously, your lunch hour is precious, so don't want to take up a whole lot of time. But it was really great to meet you all. And this will actually be on demand and available if you didn't get a chance to check it out. Again, thank you so much. Doesn't seem like we have any questions. But again, if you have any, I'm happy to connect with you on LinkedIn. Chat through there. I'll send the deck if you'd like it. And thanks again. Have a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week, everybody. Bye.